What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I'm really excited to be starting a subscription for this podcast. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a subscription to listen to this podcast, but the benefits of getting a subscription are no ads like this one, and a shout out on each episode, as well as knowing that your money is going towards doing something good. This money is not meant to go to me. Some of it is meant to help me maintain this podcast and keep getting guests on, but most of it is meant to go towards providing school supplies towards kids in need. It's my commitment to put $3 of every monthly subscription towards providing school supplies to kids in need and helping them achieve their goals and dreams as well. This is a passion of mine. This is something that I really have been pursuing. This is why I have started all this, the podcasting, the books, everything like that, was to give opportunities to other people. So I'm very excited to be able to do this now. The subscription is $4.99 a month, so nothing crazy, unless one cup of coffee a month, that sort of thing. But it's very exciting, and it's going towards something that I am really passionate about and believe in. And I hope you enjoy the benefits of being a premium subscriber. There'll also be discounts and things along the way that I'll make available to people as time moves on and as this continues to grow. The link to subscribe is in the description below, so check that out. There's also a link to donate towards the mission of providing school supplies to those in need, so you can do that as well. Thanks again, and enjoy the episode. All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me Leanne and Lyle. Leanne and Lyle, how are you guys today?
Good, thank you.
Hey, we're great, thanks.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I know we had some technical difficulties and scheduling was difficult because you guys are a long ways away from me. Where are you guys at?
We're currently sitting here at the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia.
Okay.
At the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking at the Pacific Ocean from the other side of it. So, yeah. Kind of funny. We're connected, but also very far apart. I think that's a good kind of explanation of travel. You're so far away from maybe home or somewhere, but you're also really connected to any sort of place when you're there.
And I also think we talk about when we travel in different cultures, and I always think we're more alike than we are different. From everybody around the world. Everyone smiles the same way, and it's
kids play the same way.
Yeah, they do.
We laugh at the same things.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So, actually, I'm curious. Just to start off, I know you guys have a podcast as well. How did you come to start your podcast, and what's the name of it?
Well, our podcast is called Beach Travel Wine, which we get lots of compliments on the name of that. And it sounds like that's all we podcast about, but basically beaches where we live, and it encompasses where we hang out with our friends and our family. And travel is obviously what we like to do. And wine sort of is obviously we do like a nice wine, but it's also like eating in different places, in different cultures, and just having that experience of sharing meals together. That's sort of what the three words represent.
And conversation.
Yeah, exactly, and talking to other people. And we basically started our podcast in Paris 73 episodes ago or something.
Wow.
Well, I wanted to do something in the travel sphere. I wanted to be a travel blogger or writer, and that just all was too hard. And I just thought I'd listened to a few travel podcasts where people didn't get into all the technical stuff and they just went out and did it. And I thought, we could do that. And that way we might be able to help other people and, give, have some great travel stories. And we just loved it so much. So we just can't stop.
And Leanne's actually forgotten to tell you, Kyle, that initially she told me that the reason why we're going to do is when she puts me into a nursing home, I'll have something to listen to.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
It is true. And
But I will now.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm a little bit older than Leanne, so I just think she's just being a bit caring there.
There you go. Hey, there's that would be great to listen to travel. You can kind of travel vicariously.
That's it. Yeah.
Sure. And the other reason is to impress her kids, I reckon.
Well, it's impressive
yeah?
to see you got a podcast. People are like, really? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I noticed your kind of theme was it says for beach loving wine drinking couples over 50, which I feel like is kind of unique in the travel space because I think a lot of days on social media you'll see a lot of the 20 and 30-year-old kids that are doing these podcasts. So I think it's really exciting to see someone over 50 doing it, and showing that you can travel at an older age and still have a ton of fun. And honestly, I'm really jealous of all the travel you guys get to do.
Yeah, we do have a lot of fun. That's for sure. And there's a lot of digital nomad sort of backpacking, sorts of podcasts, which is, obviously is what you're talking about, your demographic. But yeah, we couldn't really find anything that suited our age group, and what we really, wanted to do when we traveled. So we made it.
Yeah, I think that, ideally too, because we're retired and we can afford to travel slow, and also we've got all our work out the way. We haven't got any responsibilities. And I think the other unique thing about our particular podcast is the fact that there's not many people have been to as many places as we've been and spent the time there. So it's a much more relaxed, and as the most important thing is for us is to have a bunch of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious, how many do you guys keep track of how many places you've been to?
No.
Sort of.
We we don't count countries so much as we count cities in countries or places. Like for instance, we've been to well over 50 places in Spain, and we've just come back from Italy and we went to 26 different cities there. So we tend to want to explore one area rather than just get numbers of how many countries. We just, that's not how we like to travel, and we find then you can really give people great information, and then you don't have to rush, and that's just, and because we have the time. I understand a lot of people don't have the time, so yeah, we count sort of cities rather than countries, if that makes sense.
For instance, the last time we were in Spain, I think we were there for 11 weeks.
Yeah.
And this last one we just did in Italy, we were there for 8 weeks. So,
wow.
Not many people get the opportunity to do that. And that's why I think it makes it, unique, which I think I'm just repeating myself, really.
Yeah. No, that's
might
very
be
lucky.
time for that nursing home. You've forgotten what you're saying already.
Kyle, you've got to understand that Leanne actually thinks she's funnier than me. And hopefully by the end of this interview, you'll realise I'm the funny one.
We'll see.
We'll leave that up for the listeners to decide.
That's it. Yeah.
So tell me about Italy. What was it like? You spent 8 weeks in Italy. I mean, tell me a little bit about it and what you enjoyed.
Oh, where do you start with Italy? I hadn't ever been to Italy, and the first place we landed was Venice, and that's got to be one of the most unique places in the world. And just sort of instantly fell in love with that, and we basically then just made our way every minimum 3 nights, mostly a week in most places, around the north, and then obviously to the coastal places. But I have to say my favorites were the cities, was Venice, Florence, and Rome. They're just I don't even know how to explain, like an outdoor museum, and the history, and there's just something around every corner. And when you've got a week in in Florence, the places you can explore is amazing. So, and then we finished on the Amalfi Coast, which was a pretty nice, ending to a fabulous holiday, wasn't it?
Sure. I think, and I'm a bit of a history buff, so going to Venice and seeing the Doge Palace and the St. Mark's Cathedral, and then we also we did Florence, and we saw how much the Medici family has, the legacy that's left Florence, and we really got to appreciate, the masters of the Renaissance, because it's everywhere in Florence. And then to head off then down to Rome and go, this, which is probably more my cup of tea, to go to the Forum and the Colosseum and learn all about the history, because I've listened to so many history podcasts about all this. So you're sort of familiar, but then to go there and see it. And we had really, really great guides and to really put us there, when, this
When
history
Caesar
was going.
there.
Yeah. And then, you go to the Vatican and St. Peter's Square and Basilica, and you're just blown away with, the technology that they had, that they used to create all that back then.
And as much as Lyle loves the history, I like to find the plazas and the green spaces. And, I love me a good fountain and a nice park area.
And a nice fashion shop.
So it's, we do a lot of exploring and find those little places that aren't necessarily on the tourist map as well. And and we always seem to manage to find a
little bar. I knew where you were going.
Yeah,
so a little bar that's is Australian friendly.
Yeah.
So we did that in Rome. That was called
the Highlander. An underground pub, and
then there was another one in Florence, and that was the Joshua Tree Bar. And we got to watch the cricket there every day between 5 and 7, and the people that were there.
We were great. Yeah,
they just looked after us so well.
Yeah, so that's what we do. We have a few with Italy. There was a few major highlights that you just can't not see. But other than that, we just explored and we share all that because it's just a great way to see a city. We love it.
And the other thing about all of these old cities too is they're not big. They're all walkable.
Yes.
So if you think about it, back in the day when Rome, for instance, it wasn't a huge city when all this was going on. So everything's so close, and you just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I couldn't imagine living in Rome and just being surrounded by that history that really, was a massive part of a lot of cultures around the world.
Sure.
You're
just immersed in it every single day. It's incredible.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Yeah.
Yeah, and how smart they were.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was listening to a little bit of episode 67, I believe it was. I went to Rome a few years ago, and it was just kind of fun listening to you guys talk about it and get to relive it a little bit. I was like, yep, I remember that.
That's great. That makes it worthwhile for us.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It brings back some of those memories that I kind of forgot about, to be honest. So I think that's a great thing to, with travel podcasts, is that, it kind of memorializes that moment in time and that experience that you had. And so you get to kind of remember that forever.
Well, we have to make some notes though, because, you even like, now we're starting a series on New Zealand, and you even though that was only in August, you just like there's little things that you look at your notes and think, oh, that's right. So it's all about keeping all those memories and giving all that information as you're sharing it.
Well, I think another part of it too is that, and Leanne and I were only recently talking about it, as much as it is the legacy that you're going to leave our kids and their kids and their kids, and maybe just encourage them to be a bit more open, or be open-minded to try and do what Nana did and Lyle did all back in the day. So I think there's a legacy there as well.
Yeah, I've got 8 grandchildren, so that's what Lyle's talking about. So, hopefully.
Wow,
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Oh, it's if it was all me, I didn't.
No, but yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I think it inspires people, inspires your kids and grandkids to go out there and explore too, and experience the world.
Yeah, it's nice that they're getting, like, they're only, from 1 to 9.5, but like they see the photos and they ask the questions, and I've been trying to learn Spanish probably for about 25 years, but I'm a slow learner, but mostly more off than on, to be honest. But because we have spent so much time in Spain, and we love it there too. Like every time I see the little grandkids, I'm trying to teach them a few words, and it's quite nice now because they call me abuela, which is Spanish for grandmother, and so
and also muchas gracias and all that sort of stuff. So you'll hear them come out of a 3-year-old, and you go, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. So it is cool.
Yeah, so tell me about that. You guys, you learned Spanish so that you could, really get a lot more out of the trip to Spain. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I, from when I can remember as a young child, it was always said that on my grandmother's side there was some Spanish, ancestry there, and that was, where my, love of wanting to go to, or my desire to go to Spain came from. And when I actually, the side story, when I first met Lyle, we met for coffee and we're just chatting, probably the first 15 minutes, talking about what we wanted to do, and I said, well, I really want to travel to Spain. And, I'm, at this stage, I'm 50 years old, mind you. And he says, well, I guess we'll go into Spain then. So, it was cemented on our first 15 minutes that we're going to go to Spain together. And,
wow.
Yeah, so
Kyle, I've never lacked confidence.
That's good.
I would say at that stage I could speak Spanish, but I just, wanted to, my goal was to eventually have a conversation. So, I think this is probably my 3rd trip there. We were traveling from Malaga to a beautiful little coastal place called Nerja, and it's probably a 45-minute taxi ride. And I realized, once we got to Nerja, that I'd basically had a conversation with, the taxi driver the whole way. And what I'd been doing was filling in Lyle, in English. And so since then, he's been learning Spanish as well, because we're determined to go back. And it just, we've been places in Spain where hardly anybody speaks any English. And, it just, when you speak to people and you ask them questions in Spanish, and you can read the signs and read the menus, it just makes for such a different travel experience, doesn't it?
Well, I think for me, one of the first times, I was really impressed with Leanne was we were in actually Gibraltar of all places.
Oh no, it was over the border in Spain.
Over the border, yeah. And an English person was having trouble trying to speak to the lady behind the counter to get the bus.
Yeah, and he was getting angry and she was getting angry.
Yeah. So Leanne went up and basically sorted it for him, and I'm sitting back going, "That's my girl."
Yeah.
How cool is that? And the other thing is, what I've found is it certainly has enhanced our holidays because we're so much gamer to do things instead of going into these tapas bars and when they're busy and they're full of locals and sitting back and in a corner and hoping we're not going to offend anybody or whatever. Now we're the ones sitting at the bar, and as soon as they find out we're Australian, for whatever reason, I don't know whether they feel sorry for us or maybe it's our age, they feel sorry for us. But all of a sudden, we've just got a new best friend, and that's for me, traveling, it's all about meeting people. So to be able to speak Spanish, I'm all right speaking to them. It's when they return serve and speak to me, I get lost. That's when I look at Leanne and say, what did he say?
Yeah.
Or she said.
But also in Mexico, we were there earlier this year, and I didn't actually need to speak it a lot, but I was able to help other people that we were traveling.
Yeah, it was an Australian tour.
Yeah, and like how many times you just help them with them wanting to buy something or what they needed or
trouble in the bank.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah. So that it's sort of become it's quite been quite helpful. So we're keen to go back to Spain and do a little bit more practicar español, ¿no?
Sí, sí. Por
No.
supuesto.
Yeah, no, I think that it's really important to at least try to learn a little bit of any language in any country that you're going to, just so, I mean, one, for your safety and your ability to get around. I mean, I'm sure it's been, like you said, you were helping other people travel because you could speak it well enough that they you could help them with that, which I think is huge, and I think probably makes your trip a lot more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has, and it makes you feel that we've helped some people that were quite stuck, and that's always a good thing to do for sure. And and as Lyle said, like going into some of these authentic bars in Madrid that only the locals normally go to, and the tourists sort of sit outside in the plazas, and we've just wandered on in. And I'll tell you one quick funny story. We were in Seville and or Sevilla, as they say in Spain, and there's this little father and son bar called Santa Cruz.
Oh yeah.
And the father behind the bar, and it's got all the local guys sitting at the bar having their tapas and their little drinks, and
the father's about 60 and the son's about 40,
and he's carrying on with a fan, pretending he's a lady, and he's using some swear words, and making all the guys at the bar laugh. And I knew what he was saying, and so I started laughing, and he was horrified that I knew, because he thought he was playing up to the guys in the bar. But he soon settled down when he saw me laughing. But that was the same bar that this American guy walked into, poor guy, and he said, "Do you make a margarita?" And this is, you almost heard, because the look on the barman's face was like, "Do I look like I can make a margarita?"
But it was just like the furniture was in
wooden
the bar.
stools and stuff.
Yeah, it was probably as old as Seville, so it wasn't one of those sort of bars. But there was another place in was it, Madrid?
Yeah.
At what was the name of that bar?
Casatoni's.
Casatoni, and there's one of the hawkers, an African guy, came in and was trying to sell Leanne
a bracelet,
and he looked very pleasant, no problem. Anyway, Leanne and I had. We'd had enough drinks to and Leanne, we
were confident.
Yeah, we were confident. I've already told you, Kyle, I don't like confidence. Anyway, Leanne, we often take away little koala bears.
Yeah.
To give away to people that, accommodation places or people that are giving us great service. Kids, whatever. Anyway, so this guy's trying to sell Leanne some bangles, and Leanne return serve and is trying to sell this bloke the koala bears. And everybody in the bar everybody was laughing. Everybody, and it was all in good nature.
Yeah, it was good fun.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
But the fact that, again, Leanne being able to, speak Spanish and understand Spanish, it really, so often it enhances the experience, and obviously the locals, they embrace you for it.
So needless to say, I kept the koala and he kept his bangles.
Correct.
But as we left that bar, the lady who'd been the waitress all night, I think she was the owner's wife, I gave the koala to her, and she hadn't smiled all night. She'd had been so busy, and she put this great big smile on her face.
She was blowing us kisses as we walked out the door.
And she sat the koala up on the bar. So, we made another great friend.
That's awesome. What a great story. There's so many fun stories like that.
That's what makes traveling wonderful, and just wondering. And we learned about that bar in another podcast, So
that's right. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Do you guys do you research and kind of plan out the trip? Do you have an itinerary every day, or are you kind of going with the flow?
You know what? A little bit of both. It's interesting. We're sort of trying to think where we're going to go next year, and I'm like, well, we can't go there. We've already podcasted about that, So, but we still want to go places, that we enjoy going to. Lyle sometimes does a bit of research beforehand, but we just generally just go and enjoy the experience, and we do probably take notice of things a little bit more, and we probably think, we do a day trip and think, well, that'll be a really great podcast episode. But it's not the be all and end all. When we get home and we think, oh, how we're going to do Rome, like, how can you do Rome in one podcast? So we basically work out what we're going to include. We do it by days, or we're going to do it by where we've been, and just make sure we've got the facts. And so it does take a little bit of putting it together, because we want to get it right and want to make it interesting as well.
Yeah, of course. No, that's great. And with your podcast, do you kind of riff off of each other? Like, I mean, you're kind of doing it a little bit right now, but or is it? Do you kind of set it out and say, this is how we're gonna talk about it, and then maybe interject some stories along the way?
I think both of us will take the opportunity whenever we can to take the piss out of each other. I think that's one of the main goals, I've got to say.
I'm actually the producer and the executive producer, and I'm everything. Lyle tells me he's the talent, so we sit down and we compare notes. So say tomorrow we're going to record our first episode on New Zealand, and we're going to talk about the ski fields, right? And so Lyle will go through what his information that he's got, and I'll go through what I've got, and then I'll put together a couple of dot points to make sure we cover all that. But other than that, that's pretty well it. Lyle sort of has some figures and facts written down, and the history and that sort of stuff. And I add all the, my memories, and we talk about where we've been, and so there's a tiny bit of, structure, but other than that, it's just sharing stories, really.
I'll give you an example, Kyle. Yesterday we've been talking about New Zealand, how we're going to do New Zealand, and I wanted to do it day by day. Like the first day we did this, the second day we did that, the third day. And Leanne, or as I call her when talking to her in Spanish, Leanita, when she has, what's the word, prompted me to not do it that way. Anyway, about 2:00 this morning, I woke up this morning and I couldn't get it out of my head. I had to actually get up and write it down. So this shows you who the boss is. We're now doing the skiing in one day, then we're doing the walkabout Queenstown the next time, and then we're doing
it my way.
Yeah, then we're doing wine and food in one, and we've got the 4 highlights. We've been very lucky in New Zealand, Queenstown. We've done a hot air balloon.
Oh my gosh, that was my list item.
Yeah, we've done a helicopter flight which landed on a glacier, and then we went on to Milford Sound, which is an absolutely beautiful place. And we've done the jet boat.
Yeah. The shot over jet boat.
Yeah. And then, not that we did it, but we watched Leanne's eldest son do the hang gliding off the mountain there. So that's another podcast. Yeah. So Leanne's in charge.
Hey, you forgot something. I made you come and make perfume.
Oh yes, yes you did. And the thing, Kyle, I've got no sense of smell anyway. The day we went, I had a runny nose. And I only did that for the podcast.
You did too. The Queenstown holidays. Have you been to New Zealand, Kyle?
Yes, I gotta say it's one of my favorite countries I've been to for sure.
Out of all the places we've traveled, I still think Queenstown's the most beautiful area I've ever been to. Like the lakes, the snow-capped mountains, it's just magical. And we went there with my 3 adult children and my 8 grandchildren, and we all had a week there together. And
Kyle, it was frightening.
It was.
That's a lot of people to coordinate.
And I'm not talking about the hot air balloon.
It was fantastic, and I'm actually going to do a podcast episode about that with my daughter. and we're going to talk about
very
all
cool.
things family, like 3 generations traveling and that sort of stuff. So she's going to join me. But you've seen my technical skills, so I don't know how I'm going to figure that one.
That could be fun.
It might be smoke signals, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It might be me reading out her messages on live to podcast. That'd be anyway. But that was, and yeah, the hot air balloon ride. I've wanted to do a hot air balloon ride. That's been on my bucket list for so long, and I just thought, what a beautiful place to do it, And so you arrive in the middle of this field, and it's -4 degrees, which I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's below zero, and it's freezing. The whole grass is solid ice, and the balloon's there, and they start filling it up, and you just, because I'm scared of heights, so people are like, why do you want to do a hot air balloon ride? I'm like, okay, right? But anyway, you hop in, and there's no fear, because you lift off the ground and it's quiet, and so we're floating at 7,000 feet. On one side of us is Coronet Peak, the closest ski resort. So the whole mountain's snow. And on the other side is the Remarkable Mountains, and that's where they filmed a lot of the Lord of the Rings. So you can imagine, how jagged and, like how stunning.
Yeah.
And then below us is the Shotover River, which is, like about 30 centimetres deep, but of this pale blue, crystal clear water, and we're floating along in this valley. It was more than I hoped it would be. It was magical, wasn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, Queenstown is a stunning city, and a hot air balloon over it.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see those pictures.
And did you know that's where bungee jumping was invented, in Queenstown?
I actually bungee jumped with that when I was there.
Oh, you star!
Oh, you're so brave.
Yeah, I had heard about it when I was in Australia, and so I did my research and was like, you know what, that's something I got to do. So I Queenstown was my last stop in New Zealand, and I was like, I'm either going skydiving or bungee jumping, and bungee jumping worked out. So I went to I believe it was Kawaru Kawaru Bridge, something like that.
Yep.
And I did that, and I'm glad that I did it, but I probably will never do it again.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're braver than me.
Yeah, that's very brave. It's very scary. And the other thing I don't know whether you would have appreciated when you were there either, but we, Beach Travel Wine, as we said, we do love wine, and the Central Otago has the most amazing wines. They're big on their Pinot Noirs and their Pinot Gris. They're starting to now the white wine, and it's the most southern wine region in the world. So it's pretty incredible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we actually interviewed just spoke to this guy who has a winery called Wet Jacket Wines, and he told us all about the story and how it all started, and we can't wait to do that podcast as well.
Yeah, he was a real pioneer at the start of the Central Otago wine industry. So, and his charisma was unbelievable.
Yeah, so we love the food there, like, oh my gosh, the fresh produce that they have, and the seafood and the lamb. We just love it.
Yeah.
So
So
it's only 3.5 hours. It's easier for us to go to New Zealand to ski than it is to ski in Australia.
That's
wow,
true.
that's wild.
Yeah, it is, right? We hop on a plane here in Brisbane. 3.5 hours, you fly directly into Queenstown through those snow-covered mountains. Like, I normally like the aisle seat, but when I'm flying to Queenstown, I am on the window seat. And here's another funny story. Oh my gosh, I don't know about you, Kyle, but some things just really bug me. And one of them is when you're sitting in your seat in a plane, and there's people, they're all filing in, and they're going past you, and then next thing you know, there's someone that's sort of gone halfway down the plane trying to come back, and they're saying, excuse me, I'm trying to find my seat, and they're looking at their ticket. And
What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to share that my audiobook version of Travel Tips is up now. You can find it on Audible, Libro.fm, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Go check it out. And buy a copy. It also has 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes of bonus commentary that isn't in the actual book. So that's a little added bonus. But go check it out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Can't for the life of me figure why they didn't realise that road 10 was,
after row 9.
Yeah, why they went past that down to road 26. I'm like, really? And it happens every time. Anyway, we get on our flight in Brisbane, and it's been an early morning start. We had to get up at 4:30 a.m. to get to the airport, and we met there with some of the kids and the grandkids, so it was pretty full on. Anyway, we get on the plane, and we're walking along, and we're in row 8, and we sit down, and I bought a window seat, picked a window seat because, as I said, the views, and where we're sitting, there's no window, and I'm so annoyed. But then I realised, Kyle, I'm sitting in row 9, not row 8. So then I'm one of those people. I stand up and going, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, we just got to move. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, And so row 8 did have a window seat. So yeah, I'm not so intolerant of people missing their rows now. I've done it myself.
Yeah, those were one of those moments where you're going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that."
I know, and now I've told the whole world, because obviously you've got a very popular podcast.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. There's always something that goes wrong with travel, or you make a mistake, or you don't make your connection, or you miss a bus, or just there's always something.
Always something. Yeah.
But those are some of the fun moments too, or they can be.
Yeah, for sure. We booked this apartment once in Alicante in Spain, and it was a studio roofed with views or something, and when we got there, it was basically just below ground level, and the window was equal with the path walking past. It was in this really noisy
what it was
a garage.
Was a garage.
I think they converted. And so we're in this one room, the bed, everything, and there was the toilet and bathroom. All it had was a curtain, as for privacy. And I like a little bit more privacy than a curtain. So luckily we travel with a little Bluetooth speaker. And and you've probably never heard of this guy, but my favorite singer is an old Australian rock and roller called Jimmy Barnes. And so when it was time for someone to use the bathroom, it was, we're just, going to listen to a bit of Jimmy Barnes. So, that sort of filled the background noise for us.
There you go. Yeah. You just, you find a way to make it all work and get through it.
Actually, Jimmy Barnes, I say to some people, he's like our best travel agent, because if he's playing somewhere, like for instance, he was playing in Darwin up in the Northern Territory, and I said, Lolo, you want to go to Darwin? Jimmy Barnes is playing up there, so we head off to Darwin for a week to see Jimmy Barnes, and then next thing he's at the Maldives. I'm like, do you want to go to the Maldives? That did take about a couple of weeks to confirm that we were going to do that, but we're off to the Maldives. We go to see Jimmy Barnes, and then Daydream Island.
Yeah, the Whitsundays.
Yeah, to go and see Jimmy Barnes. So
we basically, wherever he plays,
we're groupies. If we feel like going there,
if we feel like going there, we haven't been there, and it's a nice place, we'll design a holiday around that particular concert. So you're not just going for the concert, and we could tell you some funny stories about Darwin. But anyway, maybe another time.
Yeah, that Darwin was one of the places I didn't get to when I lived there, but definitely would love to hear some of those stories. Maybe
Did
over
you go to the Adelaide River where
No, he didn't go. He said.
Oh, he didn't go.
No, when he lived here, he didn't go to Darwin. Yeah. It's on the next trip.
Yeah, we got some crocodile stories for you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just talking with someone who was down on the Amazon and talking about crocodiles, and I was like, there's no way you could pay me to put my hand in or anything like that. I'll look from a safe distance.
You don't go in any waterways in the Northern Territory ever, not even the ocean, the rivers. No. Yeah.
Yeah,
But we
that's
did
that's one of
as well.
yeah, that's one of the wildest things from my experience in Australia. I mean, just the diversity of life down there. I mean, so many animals and fish and different things that we here in the U.S. we never see.
Yeah, it's
I was just
incredible, isn't
amazed
it?
at all the different things.
You said you went to the Great Barrier Reef. Where did you do that?
Yeah, in Cairns, just
So,
I think it was
yep.
Green Island.
Oh yeah. Did you snorkel or scuba dive?
I snorkeled there.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I actually ran into a few turtles, and so I got to just kind of swim along next to them, and
aren't they amazing? They're majestic
it
things,
was
aren't
wild.
they? Yeah, yeah. We've snorkeled up, not off Cairns, but off Port Douglas, which is obviously about an hour north of Cairns. Yeah, and I think it's called Hardy Reef out there, wasn't it? Yeah, or Argencourt Reef, one of them. And then we one of our favourite things we've done this twice. We're very, very spoilt, but off the Whit Sundays, you go out with Cruise Whit Sunday. It's probably about 2.5 hours out into the ocean to one of the reefs out there called Hardy Reef, and they've got a big pontoon there, which the big boat pulls up to, the big catamaran pulls up to, and they probably have up to 200 people it can cater for, and they've got all the wetsuits and the snorkel gear and so that you're there for the day,
and the scuba.
Yeah, and you can do. I did my first scuba dive there. I've never, they do introductory dives, so you just basically, get a bit of a lesson, and then you just go along with your instructor, and they pull you along, and but then what happens is at about 3 o'clock or 2:30. The catamaran leaves for the day, and so everyone goes except for about the 16 people that are staying out on the pontoon for the night, and it's called the Reef Sleep. And they've got this. I think there's 8 like swags, like glamping sort of little cocoons on top of the pontoon, and you have a 5-course dinner, you have your own private chef, and you sit there and watch the sun go down, having drinks, and then you basically sleep under the stars on the Great Barrier Reef, and it's so magical. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd do it another time.
Yeah, we've done it twice. It was and then you get up early to watch the sun come up too, which is and then there's no one else there except you and the other sort of 14 people, and you can you've got the whole reef to yourself just to snorkel and have your breakfast, and it's so quiet, and yet there's the noise of the water all the time, and and as you said, the wildlife there, and even if you don't scuba dive, we actually think that snorkeling sometimes in those shallow reefs is just
the colour
is at the top.
Because as you go deeper, the colour dissipates of the coral.
But there's this great big Maori wrasse fish, and he'd be probably I'm going to say 1.5 2 meters. So what's that in feet? About 6 feet long, and it's a big sort of round fat fish. And I think his name was George, and of course he's obviously been looked after out on the pontoon. But every time you get it in the water, he's
trying to nudge
he's nudging you, and we were trying to do some scuba diving this day, and someone's trying.
We're actually doing the test to get the certificate.
Yeah,
and this bloody wrasse keeps on pushing us in between us, and we're having to swap mouthpieces and all this
being
sort of
tested.
Thing. And I'm in a state of panic. And this wrasse keeps on pushing in between Leanne and I.
And you know what our instructor said? She said, well, you never know what's going to happen. You can't have perfect conditions.
So anyway. But that shows you how much Leanne was impressed with the introductory go. We came back up and did the actual the 5-day certificate.
Yeah.
Or ticket, whatever you call it.
Yeah, so that's one of our favourite experiences. Certainly, the Great Barrier Reef is a magical place, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I would imagine seeing all the stars from there and just being basically alone out there.
Sure,
that's got to be an experience unlike any other.
And there's no light pollution at all. It's just just beautiful.
And just to make your listeners aware, we've been scuba diving up there a fair bit, like for over a period of time, and the Great Barrier Reef, the coral part of it has never looked better.
Yeah, the last time we went, they were saying how much it's, how good it is at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like coral floral beds, really, isn't there? Like, just meters and meters and meters and meters.
Gardens.
Gardens, that's it, every colour, every type of coral.
And then you've got, of course, all the iridescent coloured fish.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I know when I was there, they were really concerned. It was during the bleaching, like it was really bad at that time of all the coral.
Yeah, but it's good now. It's come along for sure.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, so I'm really curious, as you've traveled over the years, how has travel changed for you? And like, are you doing anything different? I know you guys have more time now, but is there anything else that's changed in how you travel?
The podcast.
Yeah. Well, we probably came to travel a lot later than a lot of people. This is our second marriage, so Lyle was busy working, having a career, and I was busy raising 3 kids, and I basically been to Vanuatu and then the west coast of the US, and then the next time I went overseas, I was 50. I went to Egypt. So I think, for us, I think the thing, maybe not change, but we were always determined that we wanted to travel on our own terms and go where we wanted to go. And we didn't want to be constricted by, too many rules or tours. We've done a couple of tours that we've enjoyed, and we do those again. But I think just the slow travel part of it is certainly, that's been a popular term that people have been using. But, I think that we really live that, and we use public transport as well. That's something that is important to us when we travel. The train systems and buses, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think because of Europe, a lot of our travel's obviously been in Europe, and their transport system unbelievably efficient and effective. And whereas in Australia, because of the size, you don't really want to rely on
public transport.
And public transport, it's just too big. So for us to go over there, and we travel on the local buses, we travel on the
metros
and all that sort of thing. And once you've sort of got a bit of an idea how they're pretty much all the same. So we've become a lot less intimidated by everything, I suppose.
And I think also, like the trips that we've taken, like obviously we've learned, we always, started by way overbooking, and you realise that the stuff that you don't need, and we say it every time we're going to go away, you don't need it. Anything you need, you can get there. There's nothing worse than trying to lug, a heavy suitcase around cobblestone streets and upstairs. Yeah. So, we still have a long way to go with that. We're getting better. But, working out what you actually really need, and what you don't, is something that is a constant challenge.
Sure. I think that one of the other things, Leanne and I are both pretty fit. So Leanne was in the fitness industry before she met me, and I've always kept myself fairly fit. So at our age, I think that's important. You've just got to be physically fit. We don't have to be, because you can get around it. But if you want to do it the way we do it, which is basically walk all day, you've got to, be prepared.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it makes, some parts of the trip easier and gives you opportunities to maybe see or do a lot more than someone otherwise could.
Yeah, well, what you find when that's how we find those parks and the little hidden cafes in courtyards, and it's
sure. I mean, and
remember that little restaurant we found in Marbella, and we were sitting in the courtyard, and then all of a sudden the chef comes out and starts singing opera.
Oh yeah.
It's just because we went for a wander one day and found that.
Yeah. You see so much more when you walk. And, if you've got a week in a city, you're not rushing to see everything in 2 days. So if you want to have a day off and have a rest, or if you want to do a podcast, do the research on a podcast, in that 7 days, you're going to find time to do that in a relaxed atmosphere. So,
yeah, we love that. Yeah.
And
I always try and find an apartment, or with a balcony or a little outdoor area, and you can just either sit there in the morning and have a cup of tea or coffee, or at the end of the day, have a glass of wine. Just you don't always have to be on the go, and we do spend a lot of time just enjoying where we stay too, don't we?
Sure.
Yeah, that's really important as well. Do you guys usually stay at hotels or apartments or hostels?
A little bit of we don't do hostels. We try and go with apartments if we can, if it's a week, because like for me, we've got a washing machine, and but if it's only a couple of days, we might stay in a hotel. It's more about the location, Kyle. Like we like to be, as I said, we like to walk. So if we can be in an area that's, easily walkable to, where we want to go, that's probably the main consideration, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I remember one of the trips we went to Spain, you said that we had to stay in apartments because we were going to cook.
I thought we were going to cook, yes.
Yeah. We were there for 8 weeks. We did not cook once. We were there for dinner every night. But that's different in Spain. Because Spain's so cheap.
Part of Spain, the culture is you go out and you have tapas.
Oh, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
No, I made a mistake. I thought you just wanted to go out and have a drink and have something nice to eat.
But we do often go to the local food markets and
we look. We have a look. And then we go. It just hit me.
Oh dear. We buy sandwiches for lunch sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, we're not into cooking. No. We do that at home.
Yeah, so I guess that's an important question too, is how do you guys, budget for, for being gone for 8 weeks?
Yeah, well,
very good question.
Yeah. Italy was a lot more expensive than what we were hoping. But when we sold our business in 2019 and we decided we would downsize, I had a house and, and what we did was we just bought a small 2-bedroom unit, and we could have paid more, but we didn't. And we worked it out. We got some financial advice, and we worked out how much money we'd like each year to travel and how we could make that happen. So we basically planned for that. So, in COVID, when everyone was, renovating their bathrooms and kitchens and buying new cars and doing all that, we just kept saving and, keeping that money for when we could travel. So we basically have blown that all this year. So we've got a certain amount to travel each year, basically, and that's sort of what we try and stick to. So
basically, we couldn't sell the business until we had accumulated the financial backup to do what we do. So it was pretty well planned.
But we don't travel like business. I would dearly love to travel business class, but we don't, because we can't, from Australia, it goes from, like $5,000 for both of us to fly to Europe to something like $28,000, and that's just, that's our whole, 3-month holiday and more. So, and if you stay in a place a week, often the accommodation isn't that much more expensive, if that makes sense, in a couple of days. So every time you move when you travel, it's costing you money for transport, and 1 or 2 nights is always a bit more expensive. And like when we do think about it, we don't always, you go out for dinner, but we might go early and then go home and have a glass of wine, that sort of thing. So, we're always conscious of it. We don't buy souvenirs, and Italy was a bit more expensive because we did do a few tours. I just wanted to get the whole information on places like, the Vatican and like the Galleria in Academia in Florence. And
yeah, but in hindsight, I'm glad we did.
oh, sure. It's, I mean,
And when you say
worth
food
it.
tours, we did a lot of tours, and I definitely think it was well worth.
Yeah, the
the
learning
effort.
for us. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, because we love that sort of thing.
Well,
So,
and that's obviously it's beneficial for the podcast.
sure.
Yeah, of course. No, but yeah, Italy has so much history there. You can spend a lifetime doing tours there.
Sure. Our favourites
that's
are the food tours, and we do the Airbnb experiences. I've found that
okay.
they're really good tours because they're generally just a local person, and they're generally only 30, 40 euro, which isn't too much, and you wander around with a local, it takes you to their favourite little tapas bars, or and yeah, it's and then you make a friend, which is always nice too, and yeah, so that's how I like to do some of our tours anyway.
Yeah, and try and do the food tours early, especially if we're going to stay in a place for a week. And I remember one of the first ones we did in
Salamanca,
and it
in
was
Spain.
he was an English expat, and I think he was a school teacher, and it was supposed to go from 6 to 8 or something.
No, it was 9 till 11. It was a late night one.
We were still sitting in the square at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we sort of basically say it's been lovely, but
yeah, can we go home?
Yeah, we need to go home. Like, we were just having so much time. He was just enjoying himself so much.
Yeah. I think we were shouting, but that's right. But anyway.
Wow. No, that's the fun of traveling, though. I mean, you make those relationships and meet those people.
Yeah.
I've definitely had some late nights. Actually, I remember in Florence, I was with another guy from the U.S. and we ended up running into some people from Belgium and Saudi Arabia and a few other countries, and we all just kind of had drinks together and ended up, walking through Florence at 3 a.m, just hanging out.
Yeah. Well, we had a few of them walking past our apartment when we were there. Oh, if we've got time, one more quick funny story, Kyle. This is one of my favourite stories. When we arrived in, we had a really nice apartment in a great area in Florence, and the guy who owned it wasn't able to meet us, and so he told me his friend Michael would be coming to let us in, and we arrived early, like 10:30 or something, and I just said, look, I know we can't check in, but can we leave our luggage? And the owner was fine to host, he's no worries at all. But Michael, who comes to help us out, speaks no English at all, and he's trying to communicate with us that we can't stay, but you can leave your luggage, and that we need to pay the tourist tax that everyone pays, so. And we're having trouble understanding, and so finally he gets a little bit frustrated with us, and we go inside the main door, and we're right at the bottom of it's dark, we can hardly turn around in there, and there's this one steep staircase, and he's finally decided he's going to go to Google Translate, so he says something into his phone, and he turns it around to me and Lyle, and on his phone it says, "I am a sniper."
Oh gosh.
And silly us, we follow him upstairs anyway.
We still followed him.
Still followed him.
Yeah. We had no idea.
I'm like, you don't look like a
but he
sniper.
said he showed it with a smile.
He did.
Yeah, he seemed very friendly to a sniper.
So I think when I sort of looked at it later, I think check-in in Italian sounds a little bit like sniper. So I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, but we gave him our €70 for the tourist tax, and
yeah,
you didn't shoot us, so we're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Let to tell the tale.
Yeah, he didn't take us hostage, nothing.
Nothing. We were all good. Yeah, so it was a great start to our holiday.
Yeah. But it's funny, Kyle, when you say about meeting the guys from Belgium and Saudi Arabia, and it's actually quite often, Leanne and I'll be sitting in a bar or a
restaurant sometimes.
Yeah, a restaurant or whatever, and Leanne will say to me, "You fancy meeting a new friend today?" And I'll go, sure. And so Leanne will sort of look around the room. And,
well, it's not quite that organised.
Well, it's pretty much almost like that. And so Leanne will just go up and start talking to people. And next thing you know, we're having a drink with them, and then we have dinner together. And actually, we've met some of our closest friends. In fact, some people that we met at the Jimmy Barnes concert in the Maldives, we've become some of our best friends. And that was similar. The story there is that I was coming back from the bar. Will you tell the story?
Oh, well, you went to the bar, and
as I always do,
yeah.
Leanne, short arms and long pockets.
And I just started chatting to the guy next to me, and you, as you do, like, you're friendly, and worked out that he actually followed the same football team as Lyle, and they actually went to the same school, and it was just all these coincidences, and we've been really good friends since. But Lyle came back from the bar and gave me the look to say, already our first night, and you're already making friends. I thought we could have a night together. I could read all this in his face, and so, but when I explained all the coincidences and how nice these people were, we spent a lot of time with them after that, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure have.
That's so fun, and now you have those connections all around the world. So next time you're there, it makes the experience even better.
Sure does. It sure does.
I gotta ask. You guys have traveled together quite a bit. Has there been any rough patches or things that you've learned about yourselves and each other to make that experience better for both of you?
So I've only knocked her out once.
You can't say
no.
that. No. Do you know what? We live in a small apartment where we are now, and we always like some time alone. Like I'll go for a walk and listen to a podcast, and then I come back, and then Lyle will go. So we do like to have time alone. So that's a bit of a challenge when we're away. But the only time we seem to have any sort of problems is probably the last 2 or 3 days before we're heading home. And I don't know whether it's subconsciously we just we're ready to go home, or we don't want to go home, but we start to pick at each other about things that we've spent the whole previous 3 months not caring about, and then all of a sudden Lyle wants to tell me which way we got to go, and
I noticed that, Kyle. Lyle wants to
tell me what to do.
You notice you're getting the drift there. Lyle wants to tell me which way to go. So in other words, what she's really saying is Lyle does as he's told. And then why then would he even suggest that we go his way?
I know, right? So up until then, my point, right? So we don't know what that is, but we now recognise that that's what we do, and so Lyle doesn't do it anymore.
So Leanne's pointed that out to me, Kyle.
Yeah.
So being a coward, I just do as I'm told.
I'm a bit of a panicker, like for instance, we were leaving Rome to fly home, and we get to the airport, I don't know, 4 hours before our flight, because I'm like, well, we can just wait at the airport. But, we were first in line. That's, that's how, and wasn't that good? We were first in line. We were first to check in. We were first through security. Everyone goes on about how bad, Rome Termini is there.
Yeah, but you only pushed one couple over.
I did, right?
Yeah, because they tried to get in front of her.
So I like to, but Lyle's, rather than fight that, he's just like, that's what she's like, we'll just go with it, because I get uptight if I'm late, and so I just would rather get there, and I'd rather sit at the airport and wait than sit at the hotel and wait. So yes,
I'm the same way.
Kyle, over the years, and you do sound a lot younger than us, but you will, once I'm not sure if you're married or got a girlfriend or whatever, but you realise that some battles aren't worth winning, and that just that's what they call wisdom.
I like that. No, that's so smart. I mean, sometimes it's better not to fight that battle, like you said.
There's no gain. You can't gain it.
Yeah.
We booked one of our trips to Spain, and I'd done all the organising. And one of the things is we don't want to travel more than about 3 hours a day, because that's just, then you're not rushed. and I had all the itinerary. I've got some actually Spanish friends that I'd spoken to about our itinerary, and we jiggled it around and we made it perfect. And about, like I'd already booked everything. And then Lyle sort of comes to me timidly and says, I really would like to go to Mallorca. And, I sort of lost my cool a bit. I'm like, I've just booked everything, it means I've got to, it's going to cost us. But anyway, I'm like, okay, that's what he wants to do. So I changed it. So we shortened our trip to Valencia and we flew to Mallorca. And of course, at the airport going to Valencia, the plane was delayed, and so I'm just like, see, told you, it's all your fault. And then
tell the full story.
I am. And so we're getting on the plane. Of course, I booked these cheap flights, but didn't include luggage. So then I had to pay extra money for luggage. And so you can imagine my mood. I didn't want to come here anyway. And so we landed in Mallorca, and I had no idea how busy this airport was, but it was quite well run. And so we got our taxi. We get to a hotel. We open up the sliding doors onto the balcony, and I have to say, everything was forgiven. It was the most beautiful spot. It's a bit like the Amalfi Coast. You've got the terraced, hills and the Mediterranean and the clear water. And I'm like, okay, all right, I take all that back. And I had to get a pie for the 4 days we were in Mallorca.
And we didn't leave the hotel.
Yeah, just like, we're not going anywhere. Well, we went into town a few times, but just like, we're just going to enjoy this. This is a real treat. Yeah, for sure.
You're welcome.
That's funny. No, that you guys sound like you've had such a fun time together, and yeah, there may have been a few little fights here and there, but it's so many great experiences that you've had together. Just, I don't know, it's fun to listen to you and get to hear that pure joy in both of your voices.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Lyle. It has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, this is great. I would love to keep chatting and hear about all of your travels. I know you on your website you have a whole Tasmania section, which I loved it when I was there. But maybe we'll have to do a part 2 another time.
We'll have more adventures to add to it then.
Yeah, there's always before I let you go, is there any advice that you would give to couples traveling, to just people that are looking to travel to places like Europe or Australia or anywhere that you've been to that might be important for people to know?
Well, I think try not to overthink it, really. Just we just sort of get the I know it's old fashioned. I don't know if you know that you can actually get maps in a book, Kyle, but we've got this great big atlas that we love to go to and sort of have get the picture of a whole country. Just like what you like to do. If you're like us and you like to be near the beach or you like to walk, but you try not to see too much, and just maybe just spend a bit more time in each place, and you don't have to see it all. You're never going to see it all, so. Just enjoy where you are and spend a bit more time exploring, and that way you're not always traveling and trying to get on planes and trains and pack up suitcases and that sort of stuff. That would be my advice. Slow down and just enjoy where you are.
Yeah, probably for me, I think that I think not wanting to travel is fine. If you don't want to travel, that's cool too. Some people, it's just not their go. So I'm not going to sit in judgment and say, well, you're missing out on all sorts of things, because those people have got different priorities probably. But what I also would say is what Leanne says, don't overthink it. Too many people are trying to work out why they can't do it rather than maybe focus on how they can do it. And I think, like we sound like we spent a lot of money. It's not that much. It's not what you think it is. If you're going to travel first class or business class, whatever, luxury hotels, all that sort of thing. But we stayed in a place in Salamanca. It was a beautiful little apartment, $700 Australian, like $100 a day.
Wow.
That's
not bad at all.
And it was right in the old town.
So yeah, do a little bit of research. And
we stayed in Nurha, and which was famous for the tapas bars. You know, we hardly spent money on food. We drank a lot, but the food came with it. So there's certain places you go that it's not going to cost that much.
And if you're unsure, you know, you can use a travel agent. You don't pay any more by using a travel agent. And you know, we've had to use that, you know, sometimes just for a bit of help. And you know,
well, especially in Italy.
Yeah. So you know, like, use the professionals if you're worried, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Or listen to, you know, great podcasts like Beach Travel and Wine.
Yes. Well, you can. I'll give us a bit of a plug. You know, as you're saying, our podcast is called Beach Travel Wine, but we actually have a pretty cool website too, which is for each podcast we do. I put up a whole stack of pictures and interactive maps and a bit of information, any tours that we recommend. I put links there. So. And that's just at beachtravelwine.com, and you can find, as you said, you know, the Tasmanian, the Mexico, the Italy, they're all there. You know, easy to navigate around, and and I do love taking the photos and sharing them. They're all mine, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I have absolutely nothing to do with any of that.
No, it looks like you've put a ton of work into it. I definitely recommend everyone go check out your website. You know, even. I mean, you got it all laid out there. You got beautiful pictures. Honestly, it's a great tool. You know, if I was going to Italy, for example, just because that's the one I looked at, you know, you have it all laid out here, and you could probably plan your whole trip just based on, you know, listening to your podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and the amount of actually inquiries Leanne gets through email and that, you know, and
social media,
and Leanne always answers them straight away. And I tip my hat to her. You know, you're fantastic on that side of it.
Well, if someone wants to know something, like I just answered today some guy's question about Toledo. You know, we haven't been there since last year, so you know, like, but if you can help, why don't you?
Well, how many inquiries would you get a week?
Oh, dozens. Sometimes, yeah. So it's great. That's what it's about, helping.
Yeah. That's awesome. Really quick, plug your website and Instagram or anything else that you want to share.
Okay, well, beachtravelwine.com is where you'll find everything we were just talking about. We're on Instagram at Beach Travel Wine, and Facebook at Beach Travel Wine. I won't worry about the rest. We're not. I'm putting our podcast now on YouTube, but you know, but you can find us there at Beach Travel Wine too if you prefer. You know, you're not listening on podcast players, but we're on all the major apps, like, you know, that you find us on, or just reach out, say hi if you want to know anything or want to ask us any questions. We're happy to help.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. You know, but in our emails and coordinating all of this, like I said at the beginning, it's, you know, it's a little bit difficult based on our different time zones and everything to make this work. And you were super quick and helpful and just made it really easy to make this happen. So, you know, I highly recommend, if anyone has questions, to reach out to you.
Thanks, Kyle. And thanks for being patient with my technical difficulties at the beginning.
No worries. Well, Leanne and Lyle, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. I can't even believe it says an hour and 15 minutes have gone by. That was very quick.
It's almost 1 o'clock here. Great.
Yeah. It's we're closing in on it's almost Tuesday for me now, so I'll be catching up to you guys.
Yeah, for a little while. All right then. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, mate.
Yep. Have a great one, and I'll look forward to seeing you somewhere around the world soon.
Hope so.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you to all the listeners and subscribers of this podcast. It's amazing that I get the opportunity to do this and, you know, talk to all of these amazing people around the world and hear their stories and share it with you. It's been a dream doing this. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to keep moving forward with it. As always, the subscriptions, $3 of the monthly subscription goes towards providing school supplies to kids in need around the world. And I'll be providing more updates on those, on progress with that as time moves along. But again, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next week for another inspiring story and great episode. Have a great week. See you next time. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.